So let's look at the entertainment in 1980, how we used to consume content in 1980. You're very well aware. And then fast forward the 4 decades. And if you look at the entertainment in 2020, that's how we are consuming most of the content on the mobile, digital, as John's slide said, and the hours which are increasing on digital from TV and the traditional media. And that's the trend we are seeing worldwide, globally. And the changes that transpired in the last 40 years now, I reckon that will happen in the next 10 years also, faster. So let's assume how the entertainment in 2030 will look like. So it will be AR, VR, and immersive video, IoT, where each devices will be a smart device. We are talking about digital humans. We are talking about voice-based interactions. And the premium content definitely will play a big role in these mediums to come. So the global is the only way to go. That's the Eros story. So India's #1 studio since, we've established in 1977. If you look at the journey, we have been in forefront, whether it was the VHS or whether it was the DVD or whether it was on-demand content or whether it was digital movie channel or whether it was the first studio model vertically integrated within India itself, or the Eros Now platform, the first OTT platform of India, whereby we had disruptive strategy on the content. And today, in this world, we are talking about the films releasing on digital itself, pre-theatrical. We did some in the last 3 to 4 years, whereby we did experiment the Indian movies going straight, directly day and date with theatrical to Eros Now platform also. So what does Eros have? The Eros has the premium content library. So we have release of 40 to 50 films every year, new films. We have co-production model, we have acquisition model. And imagine India, like United Europe, different languages. There are about 20 different languages, and the audiences watch those movies into their local language itself. So just imagine India like United Europe. And that's where we are also present in every language throughout the country. Eros Now is the first India's digital platform, OTT platform. We own about 12,000 digital film rights in that, and 5,000 of that in perpetuity. And then we have a lot of originals which got released on Eros Now platform. And we are planning about in the next 1.5 years, 100 plus originals in the next 18 months. And then also 4,400 short film videos. Let's look at the market share of the Indian content movies available on different platforms and across different languages. So there are Hindi, Kannada, Tamil, different predominant Indian languages. And if you look at Eros Now market share about the availability of those titles on the online platform, and we have done a study on what Hotstar, which is the Disney Plus platform, Amazon Prime, Netflix, and Z5. So we have a good market share as far as the ownership of the content is concerned, vis-a-vis our competitors in India. And also in the slides to come, you will see that the consumption and the subscribers and how the strategy of Eros between the Eros Studio and Eros Now, we are going to actually consolidate quite a lot of play. So over the last 10 years, Eros has been responsible 36 out of the top 110 highest box office numbers films in India. You could see all these movies on our website. These are the big blockbusters within India itself. So the Eros film strategy, we have basically premium, stories, and global. That's what we're talking about. So high quality programming that's able to drive immersive experiences. And then the content-driven projects rather than talent-driven. And then the push the boundaries to film travel internationally. The studio business, basically, the Eros International has got domestic, international, then we have co-productions with the different talent, whereby we pay talent backhand rather than loading the cost upfront, whereby so that we can de-risk the whole model. That means when we are looking at the whole portfolio approach and the pre-sales approach, we practically make our money back in the first year or in the next 18 months of the cost, what we allocate to the production on a portfolio basis. We work with the airlines, we work with the television syndication, we have our own music label within the studio business. Now, if you look at the Eros studio business, we are crossing boundaries. We are doubling our Indian films into 27 different languages outside of India. We have about 50 million South Asian diaspora living outside of India, which we are, of course, targeting. But the audience is expanded. Now, if you look at now the services like Netflix and Amazon, you have a Spanish show today on Netflix, which is Money Heist, which has become the #1 show in India. So now what is happening is the language is no barrier. It's the story which counts the most. And that's why we have seen our content getting dubbed into different languages, especially China. When we saw two of our releases grossing about $50 to $60 million after 2 years of the release within India itself. And one of the Indian movies grossed $200 million, Dangal, in China itself with the dub market. So these are our upcoming blockbusters this year, which are some are star-driven, some are story-driven. They have taken a lot to develop, but these will be movies to look forward to. The story-driven films dive very well into the digital consumption. And in 2012, with our experience in the world of cinema, the company felt there was an opportunity for a global digital play that was local. That's how the Eros Now was born, with the capability to serve 2 billion plus audiences worldwide, predominantly 1.3 billion people in India and then outside of India. So what is the status of Eros Now today? We, as per the December numbers, we have 186.9 million registered users, which come and sample our content and they register. We have 26.2 million monthly paying subscribers. We are present across 150 countries. And if you look at the users, 43.13% of the users of Eros Now today are between the age group 18 to 24. And 36.97% is between 25 to 34. And only 12.58% is 35 to 44. And it is about 65% male and 35% female audiences. So we have localized content strategy. So if you look at the movies, whether the movies straight on digital platform into different languages, our originals have performed very well. If you look at their IMDb ratings, we have ratings from 8 to 9.4 compared to any of our competitors. We have also introduced a new format called Quickies, which is the short form content, which is doing very well on the mobile, and especially the 600 million mobile smartphones within India itself. And we have also introduced the category of short films, which are really resonating very well with the Indian audiences, and especially the age group we are talking about. Now, let me talk about the distribution. How does the Eros Now works? We are not just the B2C platform, we have the B2B2C platform, whereby we reckon that, you have seen that a lot of OTT players are coming. Everybody's talking about digital, everybody's shifting to digital. So what we want to do basically with our premium content, we also want to work with the aggregators. So just to take Apple TV Plus. So Eros Now is the only Indian pair outside of the US, which Apple has tied up with, whereby they have launched Eros Now in about 3 to 5 countries now. But in the next 2 to 3 months, we will be available in about 69 countries. That's on a la carte basis. We have a revenue share arrangement with Apple Plus. And I'm really excited about this venture with Apple Plus and with their distribution and with their marketing capabilities. Similar, Eros Now is available on Amazon channels between UK and USA. And a lot of deals like you must be familiar with Roku or Xfinity, or whether it's Vodafone, whether Etisalat in the Middle East, which has got 200 million subscribers, or different telcos in India. We work with Jio, we work with Vodafone Idea, we work with BSNL. So practically and Airtel, we work with every telco, and Eros Now channel is available on B2B2C basis, which is on some minimum guarantees and some revenue share arrangement, whereby Eros Now gets about 70% of the revenue generated from the subscriber. And we have the full data analytics and what the consumer is watching through the API integration with these telcos of our app. We have 35 plus major brand partners within the occurring consumption. All these, brands which promote, they, basically package, whether it's the Paytm is the biggest pay wallet within India itself, the payment system, and different Visa or different, the banks, which incorporate Eros Now brand within their ecosystem. So the idea is that how do we get to the subscriber? How do we get more subscriber? How do we get more engagement? That's the goal. So we did it first, basically, as I talked about, we were the first uh, studio and the OTT platform, which actually 7 years ago premiered the biggest movie on Eros Now itself. It didn't go to the television. And we were the first to disrupt the television and the pay windowing. The other thing to note about on the Eros Now is the technology. We have personalized and recommended the full technology. We have optimized delivery, and we have subtitles in different languages. 2019 was the most fabulous year for Eros for the the distribution deals we signed. We signed with Apple Plus, which I talked about. Microsoft has announced the biggest technology partnership with us in India. So they're working with us to give us, they're using their AI and using their all new tools. How do we get more engagement with the customer, and how the consumer gets the best experience within the technology itself in Eros Now. And also we became the first player to bundle Eros Now with the premium YouTube within India itself, whereby we were charging 99 rupees for 3 months for the customer, which was subscribing to YouTube Premium and Eros Now. And also the first Indian brand to present Dolby Atmos in the Vision on SWOD within our platform. These are kind of some new technology and new partnerships we did in 2019. Onwards and upwards for the future. So I think the prime pillar for the growth will be technology. As I talked about, virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, we are working on that. You will see different experiences. We are working with Microsoft on integration of these new technologies. You will see, those keep on coming on Eros Now. So from a mass entertainment service to become a network, basically, Eros Now further expands as sub-brands. By 2021, we'll have different sub-brands. Now let's talk about our balance sheet of Eros. So we have cash and cash equivalents of 44 million as on 31st December 19, the gross debt of 221 million, and the net debt of 176 million. And that net debt to LTM adjusted EBITDA is 2.87. Now, if you look at the strong liquidity profile and the cash balances throughout the last, from the FY14 to FY20, you will see that how we have declining leverage on our balance sheet. So the revenue growth from 17 to 19 and the adjusted EBITDA growth from 17 to 19, you could very well see that. And even on the declining receivable days and greater mix of medium and low budget movies, and that the growth we are getting into the subscribers, the main thing to see is that the paying subscribers since 2017, we merely had 2.1 million subscribers. And now in 2019, we are at 26.2 million subscribers at December 30th. I will talk about the Eros STX merger, which is going to complete soon, I think within some weeks. We are trying to create a global entertainment, content, digital media, and OTT powerhouse, basically. As we said, the whole content is going global. It's not about just one language. So this is where Hollywood meets Bollywood. The global studio with 2 billion plus of the worldwide box office over the last 5 years, uniquely positioned to meet growing demand for streaming video and the preeminent OTT platform together. So what is in this merger? So we have highly compelling combination of complementary, so Eros International, we are a leading Indian film studio, OTT platform, largest libraries, risk mitigated approach on the film productions, global multi-channel monetization, number one SWOT platform from Indian content with 12,000 digital rights, 188 million registered users, 26 million paid users. Now, STX in the last 5 years generated about $1 billion of US box office, IP with global appeal features, starring in the signature roles, global distribution in 150 countries. STX has got, which we want to take advantage of, an asset-light, capital-efficient model, 20% ROIC on the model film profile. So, position to create a long-term value for the shareholders. Basically, Scale, increase financial scale. With the pro forma at December 19, we had 600 million of pro forma revenue for calendar 2019, projected to achieve 300 million of predictable revenues, which are the contracts which have already been secured by STX, which you will see the revenue in the next 2-3 years. Capitalization, if you look at, we are well capitalized. The balance sheet, including 350 million facility from JP Morgan, very superior liquidity position with 120 million of revolver capacity and 195 million of cash as on December 31st, 2019. Now, long-term and sustained financial commitments of the founder groups in the business and 125 million of the incremental equity from the new and existing STX equity investors, which include TPG, Oni Capital, and Liberty Media, which have actually committed to this capital. So this combines the first-class Hollywood and Bollywood management teams together, and the new board consistent with company's commitment to prudent corporate governance practices you have seen in the announcement. So what is the rationale of the strong and strategic combination rationale? So we are going to generate original content to meet global demand. So if you look at the world, as John said in the opening presentation, it's all about consolidation. It's all about digital play. The consumption on the digital is going up. It's all about the spending money on content. Everybody's talking about content consumption. And with our library and with the scale which we can bring home the best stars and produce the content cheaply and don't have the overheads of the big studios and have the global content producing premium content strategy. That's what it is. And also, we are not leveraged. If you look at our net debt of pro forma basis as on December 2019 with 350 million and 300 million of the predicted contracted revenue already in STX, practically that's where it puts us to, with a firepower and with a OTT platform, which is generating cash, which has got the subscribers and the unique model to scale distribution fast and global, whether it is any country in the world, and well-capitalized balance sheet providing strategic flexibility. So, and also on top, seasoned and global management team with strong track record. That's what we are trying to create. So we can create Hollywood content, we can create Indian content, we can create any European content, and there is no language barrier for the consumer today to watch the content. So that's the slide we have, what we talked about. We have the leading Hollywood and Bollywood talent relationships, whether of the STX management or Eros talent relationships since last so many decades. These are the original shows which have been ordered, theatrical market, subscription versus transactional. And China, I touched about China, that 2 of our movies did 45 million and 47 million of the box office. And we were number 3 and the number 5 during that period in China itself. STX did a joint venture with Jackie Chan, which generated 81.2 million China box office, and with the 8.4 ratings, and the partnerships with STX has with Tencent, Huawei Brothers, Alibaba Group, PCCW, just to name a few. Now, the partnership model will scale the distribution fast and global. And you could see this slide whereby we will be present across all globe through our distribution network between Eros and STX. And opportunity to create a global OTT platform, which Eros now is, and which we have also announced that Eros now is starting Eros Now Prime, whereby NBC Universal did a multi-year license deal with us. We'll be starting that soon and launching that by next month. So the transaction summary, which is coming to the transaction summary, basically it's a merger of the equal. Eros and STX shareholders will each own approximately 50% of the combined entity. The combined entity to utilize Eros STX dual class share structure. 125 million incremental equity contribution from the new and existing STX equity investors, which I talked about, which equates to approximately 15% of the combined company on a fully diluted basis. Management equity compensation plan to be adopted by the combined company, which will be allocated between Eros and STX management. Represents about 9% of the combined entity way going forward for the next 3 years. And The timing basically is that we did receive the approval from the antitrust in the US. We are waiting for some Indian regulatory approval, and in that we should be hoping to close this transaction in the next 3 to 4 weeks. And this is the pro forma shareholder ownership between the Eros shareholder group and the STX and the others. And that's how the structure will look like. So the significant, synergy opportunities, which we're looking at about $50 million in the years to come per year. So the content creation, substantial increased content investment to drive growth, develop culturally relevant content for the US, Indian, and global markets, and establish content partnership with crossover US and Indian creative talent. And then integrate Eros theatrical releases for the STX distribution agreements within India itself, bundles sale of STX Eros programming to networks and streaming platforms across the globe, establish a direct theatrical distribution partnership, and rationalize overhead, lower borrowing cost, and enhance capacity to address STX tax assets, broaden Eros Now proposition with Western content, as I said about the Eros Now Prime, and enhance access to the Chinese market with the distribution network what STX has built within China. So the key takeaways are basically it creates a global prominent media company, uniquely capability to develop, produce, and distribute Bollywood and Hollywood premium content across the globe, robust pipeline of the films and episodic content with the multi-channel distribution, well-capitalized balance sheet, which provides strategic flexibility with the new capital and the net debt we talked about, and increased financial scale with significant growth opportunity of over 600 million of pro forma revenue in 2019, and substantial synergy opportunities, which is approximately 50 million of highly actionable operating synergies within the two groups. I hope I completed on time, John, so that I could be available for your questions.
That's a great overview. You have a very exciting company with a lot happening. And you're very much at the forefront of where things are going. If I could just ask a couple of basic questions. On what do you actually, you have your 26 million paying subscribers. So what do they actually pay? You mentioned on some of the deals, sort of 99 rupees for 3 months. That's about $1.30. So what do they actually pay on a monthly basis? And how do you think you will get Indians who are perhaps not used to paying to start to pay a little more? And where do you see that going?
Perfect. Excellent question. See, the way I look at Eros now in India, 26 million is nothing. You know, if you look at 1.3 billion of population, internet is going faster with Geo and the 5G coming and the capabilities which are going to happen in the next 2 to 3 years. 600 million smartphones. I think India is going to be the biggest market for any OTT provider in the world with a subscriber base of about 200 to 500 million in the next 5 years. And there will be a different language. Indian languages, as I said, 20 languages are important. So how we look at Eros now, basically, we are looking at Eros now at a pricing of two basic pricing. One is the basic pricing of 50 rupees, which is a basic service per month, which is 600, it's about $8 a year. And then it's 100 rupees, the premium service, which has got the family accounts, HD, subtitles, all the full whistles and blow. When we work with the telcos in India, we get paid about 70%. And then we have some promotions which can last from 3 months to 4 months. So the average ARPU per year from the B2B to C will be around $4 to $5, and B2C will be about $6 to $10. And international, our pricing is different. Far Eastern market and the Middle Eastern market is about anywhere from $1.5 to $2.5 a month. And the US markets from $3 to $4 roughly we get in hand. So it could be the B2BC model like with Apple or Amazon or Roku or any other distribution partnerships. We get about 60 to 70% of that. And so average ARPU outside of India, we look at about $15 to $18 per year.
Are you planning to introduce ads, advertisements for the free Eros users?
Yes, I think we'll be launching the AWOD model soon, which will be, ad-driven market. And I think that India could be a big market for that, as with what has happened with the lockdowns. And we have seen in the last 3 months, our engagement has gone up drastically. At the moment on Eros now, roughly our engagement time last year was about 40 minutes. Now the engagement time has gone to 75 minutes on Eros now.
The STX is in the business of making medium-sized budget movies by American standards, maybe sort of 20 to 30 to 40 million. That's a very different model from Bollywood. How are you looking at handling that sort of change of risk and the risk profile?
Yeah. See, let me also clarify on the STX model a little bit. When I looked at the model, and Bob Simmons, I know him since last 10 years, has been my good friend. Even if they had some hits and some, mediocres, see, we are all looking at portfolio approach. We are looking at pre-sales strategy, whereby, STX also recover about 50 to 55% from the international sales, and then 20 to 30% comes from the tax credits. So pretty much, you are risk averse on their model. STX is not only about the medium budget, is all about the home for the stars, how the stars feel that they are at home. And now we have seen it's not only the budget, it's the story which matters the most. So it is about telling stories to the world with the biggest stars, which can have the back end in our production. And that could be a big production. So if you pay a star 50 million or 25 million, that becomes a $100 million production. But if you pay the same star, which you're paying 25 million, and pay him 5 million upfront or 3 million upfront and give him back end, and the budget comes down, that doesn't mean that the movie is smaller or medium budget. Idea is, according to me, the way the market is going, it is all about the stories today. And the stories has to appeal to the consumer audiences, and the medium can keep on changing. We have seen there is no theatrical. So you have seen that how even digital is coming in, how the digital will change in the next 2 to 3 years. Also, we have to see. So what we are concentrating upon is the global play and the content play. As long as we can tell the stories in an amazing manner with the best stars of the world, which they feel Eros STX as home, we will be the winner. The content can find premiere on theater, or it could be day and date on OTT, or it could be any other platform tomorrow.
Can you talk a little about China? You appear to be one of the few companies who's able to do some business there. How is that? How is STX going to help you crack that market?
Yes. So let me also tell you two strategy. One is the Indo-China co-production. So there is no quota between Indo-China co-productions. And also STX has got amazing relationships. So if you look at STX did a joint venture with also Jackie Chan, and that film was very successful, $81 million. STX has their shareholder Tencent, PCCW. They have a joint venture with Alibaba, all the major players. So I think we will. And we have seen Indian films also resonating in China. And that's the reason in the last 2 years, you have seen about 10 films from India actually performing anywhere from 20 million to 200 million on the box office. And 2 of our films also did 45 million and 47 million. So we are going to use STX relationships in developing it more and taking the Indian films also within China itself, which are doing very well. And we also launched Eros now on Vasu Mobile, which is the first kind of a service which Vasu Mobile is paying us per month. And we have seen enough traction on that also.
You have some very interesting investors, including Liberty Global. What do you think they're looking for from you?
I haven't had the interaction yet, but I think, Liberty Global wants to be a part of a very success story, which I think between Eros, STX, we are going to create a global play.
This is a very basic question, but where in terms of physical production, one of the big debates in the States is how it starts up again. Where is India in that on the spectrum?
Well, that's some good news today. In fact, the government of Maharashtra allowed the starting of the production from Monday onwards. So we can shoot in India from Monday onwards and go into production.
I don't quite know how to phrase this, but basically is COVID helping your business?
Yeah, okay. So let me tell you on the Eros side, basically, when we were looking at, let's assume if I look at the 2 verticals of the business, one is Eros Studio and one is Eros Now, the OTT. Of course, the studio business is not helping because there's no theaters, but the OTT business is definitely, it's helping us because people are in lockdown, they're watching more content. We have seen the consumption going up. We'll see the figures of the subscription going up, and it will accelerate the target we have given for March 22, 50 million paying subs. I think I'm very, very bullish and hopeful on that to achieve it earlier.
On that note, unfortunately, we've run out of time. You have a terrific story, and I really want to thank you for starting the day off so well. And on that note, we are now going to move to Adam Trivison, who's going to introduce Ryman.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much.